Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Mary Payton with All About STEM Radio. I come to you every Wednesday from 6 to 7 here on the Blue Stream. And again, it's another hot day in Texas, but it's Texas. What can you expect? Tomorrow is the North Texas Day of Giving. So if find a organization that you would love to give to, I know I have Metro Sports Fieldhouse on my Facebook page. So if you don't have anybody to give to them, or the museums, or any non-profit organization that you affiliate with. Tomorrow is the North Texas Day of Giving. Well, I don't have a lot of announcements today because a lot of things have ended. When they pick back up, we'll start over again. But I have to tell you about today's guest. Now, I've known him since probably 2012, 2013. He is like my mentor. I was told I was going to teach AP biology. Now I could teach biology. I'd never taught AP biology, and I'm like, this is a college course. These kids really have to know this because they're going to have to test at the end of the year. So I emailed every AP biology teacher in my district, everyone. And this young man contacted me and said, go buy a hard drive and come to my classroom today. And he has been my mentor ever since. I mean, he even helped me out when I was in the Middle East. He doesn't believe he helped me out when I was in South Korea. But this man is outstanding. In my first year as an AP biology teacher, my students were able to score threes and fours, and that school had not had qualifying scores they told me in 7 years in AP Bio. So I am so proud to have this guest because he is doing some wonderful things other than teaching AP Bio and AP Environmental Science. This is Mr. Andrew Brinker. He is a STEM educator. He teaches at Paschal High School, and I have to say it, many of my cousins graduated Paschal High School, my friend Audrey, all of them. And he is one of the people he is the lead for Trinity River Turtle Survey. So, Andrew, good afternoon, and please introduce yourself to my guest.
Thank you very much, Dr. Payton, for having me today. I'm very excited to be here. As Dr. Payton said, I teach biology and environmental science at Paschal High School in Fort Worth. I've been there for 13 years, and recently I've begun this turtle survey, the Trinity River Turtle Survey, with my students to get the students actually outside doing real science instead of just reading about it in a book. And it's been a blast.
I mean, I am totally enjoying what you're doing. But give us a little bit of your background that led you up to becoming a teacher at Paschal.
Well, I'm originally from Michigan. I grew up in Ann Arbor, which is where the University of Michigan is, but I went to Michigan State. Go green. But partly just to get out of where I grew up, but I still like both schools. But anyways, after I graduated from Michigan State University with a degree in zoology, I got a job at the Fort Worth Zoo, which is how I ended up here in Fort Worth. So the day after I graduated, I drove all the way down here, which is like 1,200 miles or so, and started at the zoo the next day. And I worked at the Fort Worth Zoo for about 7 years, which is where I first started to really learn about turtles. I kept all kinds of neat turtles at the zoo.
Okay.
Usually the new guy gets the turtles because the turtles eat and poop every day, so they take a lot of cleaning, so the new guy gets them. But I was able to breed a couple of neat turtles, like Hamilton's pond turtle and another species of leaf turtle that no one had done before, at least at our zoo. So that was really fun. But after working at the zoo for several years, I ended up getting another degree, a master's from TCU, which I was able to get while I was still working at the zoo, which was really neat. So I would just go to TCU and teach biology labs and then take classes and then come back to the zoo and work when I was done with that. And after getting my master's, I was still only making 11 bucks and 50 cents an hour. So
Oh,
it was time to move on. And I'd already got my feet wet a little bit in teaching at TCU as a graduate student. So I decided to take the plunge into teaching high school, which I did. And it was very rough transition for a
really?
few years. Oh yeah. It wasn't fun at first, but now it's fun, especially when I get to take my students out and catch turtles with them.
Well, you're so lucky. You have a school that is a high school that's right down the street from TCU and has always been affiliated with TCU. So, but
Yeah, that helps me out a ton because I still have lots of friends that are professors there, so
mhm.
we can just walk there for field trips. You know, I have one coming up in November where we just walk the students down to TCU, and they have a lab set up for us where we do gel electrophoresis.
I love that lab.
Yeah, it's fun.
So, all right. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not jealous. I wasn't jealous, but you've always had a pretty good setup, and I mean for years, not just you, but all the teachers, all the students, and everybody at Paschal, because I'm a TCU grad. My cousins who lived in that area are also TCU grads, so I feel your pain or your not pain. So now, when you made the transition into teaching, did you start as AP Science or did you
Yes,
start?
I
Okay.
started teaching AP Environmental Science, and I didn't even know what it was. They said the acronym they use in the school district is APES.
Yep.
So I didn't know what they were even talking about but I said, sure, I'll take the job. So I never took an AP or honors class when I was in high school, so I didn't even
I didn't
know what
either.
it was, yeah.
So now, that first year in doing APES, what were some of the challenges that you had to face a little bit?
I just had no idea what I was getting into. The students are just like normal people,
Yeah.
obviously a little immature, but I was expecting them to, pay attention and I'm the boss and they just listen and learn, I've got all the knowledge, but that's not how it goes. You have to develop the friendships, the
Yeah.
relationships, get the respect from them. You don't just automatically get it because you're a teacher. You still have to earn it, just like they have to earn your respect.
Hmm.
And figuring all that out took, a year, maybe two, before I started to get it. But now I think most of my students like me, and that's why they'll learn from me, because I tell them about turtles, take them, always trying to have fun in the classroom with them.
Well, the thing is, with sounding like with your background from the zoo, you already had a good feeling or a good concept or good stories about the environment around them because, not trying to sound harsh, a lot of our young men and women, they don't get out and go into nature like probably you did. I know I did growing up, never go to lakes and streams, never go into the woods, because they live in apartments, they live at home. A lot of our high school kids worked. So,
Right.
you know,
That's one of the big goals behind this whole turtle survey project is not so much about the turtles, but it's about getting the students out to the river. And even when we're not catching turtles, we're learning stuff like I posted on Facebook last night, there was that big spider. And the
yeah,
kids got scared. Meanwhile, I'm in the river trying to pass the trap, and they're, a little bit nervous, this spider. And when I got out, it was obvious it was covered in babies. To me
yeah,
it was obvious, but the kids had no idea. And then it switched from them being scared about it to being excited to take photos. They whip out their cell phones and are starting to get photos. Like, wow, a mama spider actually takes cares of the little spiderlings. Pretty
yeah.
neat.
I shared that on my page this morning when I saw it. I'm like, ooh, look, this is cool. But so getting them out there. Now, what got you to start the Trinity River Turtle Survey?
I had been volunteering with other organizations
Mm-hmm.
around the state just on my free time whenever I could. I'd take vacation to go and help other people catch turtles, collect data. Like the Turtle Survival Alliance
Oh,
has
okay.
this North American Freshwater Turtle Research Group,
Uh-huh.
which has a couple of different locations they do, and I was volunteering with them a couple of times. And then Carl Franklin with Texas Turtles,
Yep.
I helped him out on a couple of surveys down on his property near Menard, Texas, on the San Saba River.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having so much fun, I figured, why don't I just do it here where I don't have to leave, go out of town for the
Oh, yeah.
weekend and plan it. So now I can get to the river, like after the show, I can go to the river and let my special guests go back to where they need to go.
And yes, y'all know he did bring some special guests. And they are cute, but they're not quite as cute as he called me. I mean, he didn't call me. He messaged me on Facebook one day asking me if I wanted to come out and work with him. And they have these soft shell turtles. I'm sorry. Those things are scary. They're cute as a button, but I mean, their necks can reach clear around their body, and they bite.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the hardest turtles to deal with because they're really fast, really long necks. Yeah, really big feet and long claws too.
And you catch some big ones out there. Now, how long have you been doing the survey?
October will be 2 years.
Wow.
So we've done it for 2 years, and we're going to do it for 3 years every
Mhm.
month. Was the original goal, and then after that, we're just going to kind of do it more seasonally and as availability, because doing it every month is a little bit taxing on me and my family because it takes a lot of work to get it all set up and scheduled and
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
because you don't just go out there, find some turtles, and then tag them. You have to actually prepare and set traps and all of that. Now, before I get into some other questions, what was your goal for starting that?
The goal was to get students outside, off their phones,
Mhm.
involved in an actual research project in the field, where they're learning not just about turtles, but about the birds, about the general ecology of the river, about spiders, about all that kind of stuff. I think the students have fun, and getting them outside, actually involved in research, that's the goal of it.
How large of a stretch of the river do you have as your research area?
We do a 4-mile stretch from basically 7th Street Bridge, almost downtown,
Uh-huh.
to just past Hewlin Bridge to where Clear Fork Trailhead is at. So it's a 4-mile stretch of the Clear Fork.
That's
So
a
between
pretty large
Pembroke and
area.
Downtown. Yeah, it is pretty large.
So, how many species of turtles have you captured and released in that area?
There are 6 species that are supposed to be there, and then we found one introduced species, a yellow-bellied slider, a couple of them.
Yeah.
But in general, there's 6 species that we regularly catch, even though there's a lot more than that in Tarrant County. But in this stretch of river, that's what we've got.
Okay. And you catch them and you tag them with a little sensor, right?
Right.
So, do you have some with you?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Y'all, he's bringing out the turtles.
I like watching your show on Facebook, and I know that they can see what's going on. So I just wanted to bring a few props with me today.
Props. He had me touch these props. He had me weigh them and measure them, and I wasn't afraid, except they wouldn't let me touch the soft shell because they knew they had attitude. Well, I take that back. I did touch one, and then I put it down, and it started moving on the table, and I ran. So, but that's okay. That's okay. So, what are you hunting for?
I was gonna.
Oh, yeah.
These are those little pit tags.
Uh-huh.
So these are the same thing that you would put in a cat or a dog to mark them, your pet, in case
Oh,
it
let me
gets
see that.
lost, which is what goes into the turtles with the hollow syringe.
They'll say this is what you were putting in that syringe,
Yep.
and it doesn't hurt them, does it? Maybe a
Yeah,
little
I'm
bit.
sure it doesn't feel good, but this way they're marked forever. So as long as the turtle's alive, if anyone finds it and they have one of these readers, then they can tell.
How many have you tagged?
We've tagged right around 1,000 turtles in the river.
Really, in 2 years?
Yeah.
How, of all the 6 different species that are there?
Right. And then we've recaught some of them multiple times too. So we're up to about 1,300 total turtle captures. Some of them, though, we've caught before.
Oh. Now, when you recapture them, have you noticed a difference in them over time?
That's one of the things I'm having a student work on right now.
Uh-huh.
So he's in charge of figuring out the movement of the turtle. So every time we catch them, I record the GPS of the trap.
Mm-hmm.
So he's crunching the numbers, and he's gonna present a poster with me at the Texas Herpetological Society conference at Sul Ross University,
Oh.
or at least that's the plan right now. And that's going to be a great trip. Me and two students, another one doing a different research project. We're going to go and be able to camp Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at Davis Mountain State Park.
Oh, that's
do
a
the
beautiful
conference,
park.
And then we get a trip to Big Bend, a field trip. So yeah, it's going to be
See,
special.
you making me jealous because you know I went to Big Bend and went
Yep.
to the Davis Mountains last year.
Yeah. So I get to do it as part of a school thing.
Take your
Schools.
passport. If they have passports, take your passport. Because I know I'm off track right now, but that's okay. Because when you go to Big Bend, you can go across over to Mexico, and that
Yeah.
is like the coolest trip. Is you walk down this trail, you get on this little boat, you pay $5 for a round trip, and they take you into
Boquillas.
yep,
Boquillas
Boquillas,
Crossing,
Mexico.
yeah.
And you can either go from the immigration station, you can go either in the back of a truck or on a horse or a donkey in the town.
That's fun. Yeah, that's a good point. I got to remember and tell. Hopefully, they're listening to this show right now. They should be. But yeah, bring your passport, boys, because
Yeah.
maybe we'll go to Mexico one day.
Hey, I mean it's like the neatest place. I'm jealous. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, today on All About STEM Radio, I have Mr. Andrew Brinker, a excellent STEM educator from Paschal High School and the director of Trinity River Turtle Survey. And we're going to talk a lot more about that. But if you have any questions, you can call in at 214-431-5062. That's 214-431-5062. So, but anyway, I'm excited about this. But, okay, we were talking about tagging and tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're dealing with these turtles, are you going to bring one out? You got
Yep,
something?
I'm going to bring one out, and then I'll show you, because it should be tagged. I snuck a couple papers. So
Oh, that's okay.
I don't make a mess. And this
Now-
is one of my favorite species of turtles.
Which one is
Probably
it?
my favorite in the river. It's a musk turtle, a razorbacked musk turtle. And they just have a different ecology than the other turtles. They are crawling around on the bottom, and you don't see them very frequently. They do bask occasionally, depending on
Okay.
the time of year, but usually they're pretty well hidden. Most people have no idea these turtles are in the river.
Oh, okay. Now, what do you catch most of down in your 4-mile stretch?
Mostly red-eared sliders.
Okay.
We've probably caught 600. Half of the turtles we've caught at least, or probably more, have been red-eared sliders.
Mm-hmm.
So, with the pit tag reader, you can see that this turtle has that
Yeah.
unique ID number.
Uh-huh.
So anytime we catch them in the future, we can tell if it's moved upriver, downriver, how much weight it's gained, how much weight it's lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's the other one. And then another thing that's neat about these two is that we've got male and female.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see right away at the tail, the big tail that they have.
Yep.
That's going to be the male, and then the smaller tail is going to be the female. And these males can be quite territorial, and they have a big hooked beak and
Oh, I see it.
giant heads. Yeah, they can, which is probably not only used for territorial defense and stuff like that, but it's important for getting food and, crushing. They eat a lot of mollusks. I was telling Dr. Payton earlier today, the reason I have these turtles is I was trying to look at their poop to see what they've been eating.
Mm-hmm.
And they mostly eat these Asian introduced clams. So hopefully me and the students will be able to write up a note or something like that and publish it on these guys in the Trinity River feeding on those. And maybe when the zebra mussels get here, we'll see them eat those. 'Cause
Oh,
they're
I didn't know
already
we
in
had
Eagle
those
Mount-
here either.
Yeah, they got into Eagle Mountain Lake and
Uh-huh.
Lake Worth. I'm just waiting for them to come down the Trinity.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I didn't know we had such a diverse biome in the Trinity. I mean, because you remember I told you, growing up, we were always told, don't go into the river,
Right.
and all of that stuff, because I lived in Riverside, the area that was right by the Trinity. So, but I did not know the ecosystem in the Trinity was so diverse. You think of a turtle, okay, they got turtles. What kind of turtle? One turtle. But, from spending the day with you, I was just shocked. Now, when you capture them, other than tagging them, what do you use to, I got something on my face. What do you use to, like, measure them, weigh them?
So I'll bring out my other special friend
Uh-oh.
now. Oops. This is an ornate box turtle and gorgeous
Oh.
male. His name is Jordan, after a friend of ours, mine. But we use these big old calipers.
Mhm.
The first thing we measure is the carapace, the top of the shell, the length of it. So this guy, for example, is 10.7 centimeters long, and then he's 8.7 centimeters wide. And then you flip them over, and these are box turtles, so they can close their shell, which
Yeah.
is really
Oh, okay.
neat. But then the carapace or the plastron length is 10.8. So all of this stuff we would write down, and then
Mhm.
of course I've got a scale. So I'd weigh. How much do you think this turtle weighs?
Mm. I got to remember, did we do it in grams?
Yes, grams.
Probably about 30 grams. And that's a guess.
Yeah, I'm guessing 350.
Well, then if you're 350 and I'm 30, we are way different.
283 grams is what he weighs. So we get to see, over the time period when they
Yeah.
gain weight, lose weight, if they're
Mhm.
doing well or not doing well. Like I had a recapture recently that had damage to the shell, and we didn't know exactly how that occurred.
Okay.
It can be from raccoons, it can be
Mhm.
from boats, it can be from people, but a lot of times we find turtles missing arms and legs and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
We had one when I went out on the capture with you that was missing a leg or two, and you said it was probably an animal had got a hold of it.
Yeah, I usually blame raccoons because raccoons are notorious for, especially finding turtle nests and digging up the eggs.
Now, what is the largest turtle you've caught? Because I remember the soft shells were huge.
The soft shells are probably the biggest. Yeah, they're probably the biggest ones we've caught. The big females.
Mhm.
Remember, males only get yay big.
Yeah.
They only get maybe 10 inches across, but the females can get gigantic. We have caught, or I have, along with the Texas turtles, Viviana and Carl, caught
Yep.
a couple alligator snappers, though, just up
Yeah.
the road from you, and those were the biggest. Yeah, one was 70 pounds, so.
You should have went up to teacher friend of mine's house up at Northside. I told you she had one on her back step.
Porch or back
Yeah.
steps.
But hey, but now the box turtles, those ornate box turtles, how big will that one get?
This is a full-grown adult male right
Oh.
here. Yep, I don't even know how old he is, but I've had him for a couple years,
Mhm.
and I got him from a friend that had him as a rescue.
Uh-huh.
But these are also native to Tarrant County, so you could find this guy walking. Well, nowadays they're really rare to come by, but
Okay.
they used to be a lot more common.
Mhm. Mhm. Now I have a question, and I know my niece's teacher. She's been teaching tortoises. Last week she was teaching tortoises. What is the difference between a turtle and a tortoise?
A tortoise is just a specific type of turtle. It's like a toad and a frog.
Uh-huh.
Toads are frogs, but they're a special kind, more terrestrial. So a tortoise lives on land primarily, whereas turtles can live in the water or on land. But usually when people think of turtles, they think of aquatic turtles.
Okay.
When they think of tortoise, they think of land turtle, you know.
Okay. All right.
Like we have the Texas tortoise south of here, which actually one of the custodians at my school brought one in one day because he found it going down Seminary on the road. Yeah, Texas tortoise, which isn't native to this area, and it's protected. So that was really neat to see this guy bring it to me, you know, and he named the turtle Touche.
Now, when you get those like that, what would you do with it if it's protected?
First of all, Texas Parks and Wildlife. So all of the work that I do, I had to get permits for before I could do anything. So I contacted those folks, told them the situation, and then they were able to find a home for it that already had permits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, you know, people are always picking up, finding things, and, you know, so if they call Parks and Wildlife, they will help them out.
Right. Yep. Call Texas Parks and Wildlife. There's lots of local rehabs around too. Nature's Edge, I think, is one over by Lake Worth that does all kinds of reptiles, anything really. But
what, he is not happy right now.
no, he's not happy.
So what does he eat?
He eats pretty much anything. They're omnivores,
Okay.
but I feed him mostly earthworms and strawberries and superworms and turtle brittle, just like turtle
What is
pellets.
turtle brittle?
It's essentially the same thing as catfish chow, you know. You throw in
Oh.
the little balls that you throw in and feed catfish at a stock pond.
Okay.
Same idea. It's all about the percentage of protein in it. You know, we don't want to give them too much protein or it creates problems for them physiologically, and their shells get all kinds of problems with them. You can usually tell if it's a turtle's been kept just on dog food, for example. A lot of people will just feed them canned dog food, and they'll eat it, but usually when they grow up, they don't look like a normal turtle. They've got pyramiding where there's each scute, you know, has kind of a peak to it, and a lot of times their just proportions are really weird.
Now, speaking of people who have turtles as pets, you know, some people are new to it. Some people are old to it, and they've done all kind of research on it, and they know, you know, what they should and should not do. But do you have any recommendations for people who are having turtles pretty much as a first-time pet?
My recommendation is get a different pet. 'Cause turtles live forever. So, you know, you're going to eventually get rid of that turtle, most likely, you know, especially children when they go off to college turtles eat and poop every day. So they're smelly, you know, so you don't want to have those in your bedroom.
Hello, caller. Can you hear me? Hello?
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 Hi. Yeah, this is, my name is Jake. I'm calling into the show.
Hi,
I'm
Jake.
watching from my laptop at home right now.
All right. You have a question for Mr. Brinker?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just, the transmission on the computer is very delayed. I'm pausing that right now. Okay, yeah, I just called in on screen.
Yeah, Jake is one of my students that's been working on Mercury and the turtles. So I actually told him to give a call up here so he could talk about his research that he's been doing with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us
can
about
you guys
that.
hear me? Okay. Yeah, I'm a senior in high school right now at Paschal High School, where Mr. Brinker teaches. But originally, I have him as a teacher this year. But I also had him in my sophomore year 2 years ago. And the year that he was my AP biology teacher. And the first year that I had him in class was the first year that we did the survey.
Okay.
So I just remember him walking into class one day saying, there was only 10 of us in the class, and he said, "Hey guys, I got my permit from the state of Texas to go catch turtles, and I'm starting a new project. If you guys want to come down to the river at 6 in the morning and catch turtles, that would be cool." So my best friend and I went, and then 2 years later, here we are with over, like you said, 1,300 captures.
And you're still doing it. I mean, I went out that one day. I'm waiting for him to invite me back again. Now, what are you doing with Mercury?
With Mercury, originally when we first started out, we were just aiming to tag and recapture.
Uh-huh.
And we were charting, growth rates, like you said, weighing them every time we would recapture them. I think kind of early on, we didn't get too many recaptures, but we would check their migration patterns.
Mm-hmm.
But what we started doing is we got the chance to work with a professor from TCU, Dr. Chumchal. I believe this was 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, last year. And what we would do is our goal is, excuse me, I'm trying to get the word flow down. Turtles are a very good indicator species of mercury in water levels because they absorb it into their tissue, and they also live for a very long time. So they accumulate a lot of it over their lifetime. So the professor that we worked with from TCU had done his own study previously on mercury levels in turtles. It was not in the Trinity River, I don't believe.
Okay.
But what he found is that different organs in different parts in a turtle have predictable levels of mercury absorption. And one of those areas is their fingernails, meaning that what we were able to do is we were able to cut the fingernails off, which obviously it's a non-lethal method, and their fingernails grow back after a little while, just like humans. And we would take their fingernail samplings and we'd grind them up, and we put them in a big fancy machine that I don't remember the name of. And using that, we could tell how much mercury was in their fingernail sampling. And based on what Dr. Chumchal found on the different levels of absorption, we could estimate how much mercury was in the whole turtle. And we did that for 2 species in the river, for red-eared sliders, which, like Mr. Brinker said, are the most common species, and for common snapping turtles. Okay.
So what did you find? What was your findings, or what have your findings been so far?
In addition to the 2 species, we compared males and females between each species. Overall, snapping turtles had more mercury, which made sense because they're significantly bigger. But if I'm correct, male red-eared sliders had more mercury than females because they're larger. But snapping turtles was the opposite. Even though males were larger, females had a higher mercury concentration, which we thought was odd.
Now, where is this mercury coming from, you think? And this is just a thought. Or you may even know.
Most mercury pollution is atmospheric and then gets absorbed in water by algae, where it becomes methyl mercury, which is the dangerous kind of mercury, and then it just works its way up the food chain when turtles eat algae or eat whatever eats algae.
Now,
and Mr. Brinker, feel free to correct me on any of this.
You're doing great.
He's over here just smiling because you're making him proud. Now, another question for you. Environmentally, do you think the mercury has any effect on the turtles? Or is it just something they absorb, like we absorb vitamin C and D?
Overall, I wouldn't say, it's definitely not lethal. Like, there's nowhere near amount of mercury to be killing turtles, or as far as we know, any other species in the Trinity, but I definitely would not eat anything that comes out of the Trinity.
Oh yeah, we've been told that all our lives. Don't eat any fish from the Trinity or anything like that. But I didn't know it was this many species of turtles or this many turtles, because the day that I went, I think we caught like 40 something, and we were only there for like 3 or 4 hours. But in a day, I'm quite sure y'all catch many, many, many more. So how many times have you gone out with Mr. Brinker?
Originally, when we started doing it in the very beginning, and during the school years, generally it's only once a month. Just because it's during the school year, and students and Mr. Brinker, we all have a workload on our plates. But over the summer, it's significantly more. I think last summer we were up for the first 2 months. We were up to almost once a day, every weekday.
Now, how do you catch these turtles? I want you to tell me. I've been out there, so I know, but my audience doesn't know. How do you capture these turtles?
It's sort of hard to describe. Brinker, you can help me with this if you'd like. It's a trap made out of a sort of like a fish net with 3 rings. It looks like a little tube, and the netting is tied at one end towards sort of like a cone going inward, where it's easy for them to swim in but not get out. And then we usually we bait the traps with tilapia. I think we've tried a lot of different baits over the years.
So, Mr. Brinker, when do you have to bait these? Do you do it the day before, 2 days before, the same day?
Usually I do it the day before. It depends on how many turtles I actually want to catch, because if I know I have a lot of help, or if I'm doing a full day or half a day, I can kind of plan it. It's also fun to have the students set the traps the same day, just so they get that experience as well.
Okay.
So they could set it and then see that they caught one. It's kind of like fishing or something like that. It's a lot more fun when you catch something than if you're just on a boat with a charter and they're catching them and just hand you the fishing pole.
Now, who created the traps or came up with the design?
The ones we buy are from Memphis Traps.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I just knew that because I have all these friends that catch turtles, so I asked them where to buy the traps. There's a few other places that sell them too, but that's where we got our traps.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you bought them or if you made them.
Nope, TCU bought them for us. Big shout out to TCU Andrews Institute. They're the ones that gave us the grant that made this whole project possible, bought all the equipment. Like this pit tag reader, it's not cheap, let me tell you.
Oh, I can believe it. And all the little pits and all the stuff to go with it.
Right.
But
yeah, we've been very lucky.
Now, are you going to write a paper for a journal or anything to go in? And I forget what your name is, young man. I'm sorry. Jake.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Are you going to write a paper to get published based on your work? Please say yes.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat it one more time?
Are you going to write a paper to get published on your work that you're doing?
Oh, yes. If I can, I would love, absolutely, to work with Mr. Brinker. Like you said, there are a lot of little details that we've found, like the musk turtles feeding on the introduced clams. That would be interesting.
That shocked me.
By the time we finish the 3rd year of the survey, which right now is what we're aiming for, I'll have been, this is my senior year in high school, so I'll be out of Paschal by that point, but I would still love to help pitch in.
Hey, I mean, if you'll probably be at TCU unless, your parents are like a lot of my friends and make their kids go to college at least 4 hours away. So during the school year, you may not get much, but I'm quite sure when you come home in the summers, Andrew will totally put you to work. So.
Oh, yeah.
So you said you're a senior. Have you thought about college yet?
It's mentioned TCU, and I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. I don't know if I could stay in Fort Worth at all. There's a whole lot of world out there.
Oh, it is. It is. Trust me. I have seen as much of it as possible, and Andrew can tell you about that because he knows I will leave and go teach in another country at the drop of a hat. So, yeah, see as much of it as you possibly can. And, my last question to you is, how do you feel about this experience that you're getting to have?
Oh, this is easily. I was filling out some pointers for a letter of recommendation that I'm going to ask some of my teachers for college, and one of the questions is, what was your best experience at Paschal, or what are you most proud of at your time in high school? And this is it, like without question.
This is it without question. Now, how do the young ladies that participate in the program? I know, you guys, y'all enjoy this kind of thing. You think this is a thrill, but the young ladies that participate with y'all, how do they take to this?
It's different for different people. You know, and when you're actually at the survey, you get to choose how hands-on you are.
Oh,
You can
okay.
hold a turtle and pose for a picture. You can help measure it, or you can wade into the river with us and dig the whole trap out.
Mm-hmm.
It's really it's learned by choice and engaged by choice. So it's I mean, there are a lot of people, and a couple times we've had kids. I think we had like a group of Boy Scouts come out one time while I was there, and a lot of these kids, especially some of the ones you wouldn't expect, will run right up to it. They're like, and sometimes they get a little too close. We have to remind them that the turtles get a little cranky sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're a lot of, not everyone is, but a lot of people, sometimes that you wouldn't expect, they're very hands-on with it.
Well, I had the opportunity to be hands-on, but those soft shells, y'all can keep them. Y'all can keep those.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all can keep those. They cute. They cute as a button, but they bite. They really do.
Yep.
But of all the turtles, which one is your favorite, if you have a favorite?
Which one is my favorite? I really like the male soft shells. They're smaller than the females, but the back has a little bit of a different texture.
Yeah.
We call them pancakes because
Yep.
that's exactly what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
So I like male soft shells, and then I like Mississippi map turtles too, just because they're one of the 6 species that are native to the Trinity, but those are by far the ones that we catch the least. So it's always just really exciting when we find one.
Interesting. Well, hey, I'm gonna let you get back to work or homework, because I know you have some, because you go to Paschal, and I
Oh yeah.
totally thank you for calling. And do you have any questions, or you have a question for Mr. Brinker or anything before you go?
I don't have any questions, but I will say one thing before I go. I'm sure Mr. Brinker will say this at the end, but after 2 years, the Trinity River Turtle Survey project is officially selling merchandise.
Yes.
We have t-shirts and hats with the design on it, and stickers as well. Mr. Brinker can give more info about that, but I have a hat now, which is really cool, and I really like it. So.
Okay. I've saw the T-shirts, but I haven't seen the hats.
Yep.
I hadn't seen the hats till now, and we're bringing them out of the bag.
Yep,
So-
all kinds of different colors. Too. There's also a neon green one that I sold on Sunday, so I don't have it with me.
Okay, so you got Trimble Tech, you got I'm teasing you because
Paschal.
you got Paschal. I'm
Yeah,
talking about the hat. Well, anyway, let me let you go and let you get back to work. And thank you so much for calling. And let me know when you publish that paper, okay, Jordan?
Thank you, guys. All right.
All
Good
right.
luck.
Thank you, Jake.
Goodbye.
All right, I'll call you Jordan.
Thank you.
Jake. Okay,
I'll
bye
see you
bye.
tomorrow.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
He didn't mention, but he presented a poster with me and another student with Dr. Chumchaw from TCU. So we went to the Turtle Survival Alliance annual conference here in Fort Worth. So the first part of in-service, we were at the conference, and they were presenting their poster right next to all the graduate students, So although hopefully we do get the paper published, at least he's already been to a conference and presented a poster, which most people don't do until graduate school.
Yeah.
And we've had that 3 or 4 times now.
And I'm listening to him, and believe it or not, when he started talking, I'm like, because I know you work with a lot of people. I was thinking this was like a graduate student that was doing work with you. And when he was talking about his research on the quantity of mercury in turtles, I mean, he did not sound like a high school student. So you are bringing them up well.
I'm very proud of them and what they've accomplished and how much they've helped me, because without the students, it'd just be one crazy turtle guy in the river.
But I mean, I was just amazed at the day that I went out with you at, the different species that you were catching. And then you took, I think it was the river cougar. Am I pronouncing that right?
River cooter, yep.
You took it down to the water and you washed it. You washed the shell. And I mean, it looked like a big gray blob when you brought it up. But when you washed it, is like the most beautiful turtle, I've ever seen.
Yeah, river cooters specifically, they go through a change from when they're young to when they're old, especially some males,
Mhm.
where they look kind of drab. But then as they get old, they turn almost orange, almost kind of reddish color
Yeah.
on the top of their shell, and it's all reticulated pattern and stuff. It's called reticulate melanism, but I think that was one that I showed you, and I could tell just from the arms that he was going to be that way. So that's why I took him down to wash him off, so we could get good pictures of him, in all his glory instead of just covered in mud.
Yeah, that was a gorgeous turtle. Now, what have you learned from doing the survey?
I've learned a ton of stuff. I've learned how to take care of, or how to trap and just do all the logistics, how to
Mhm.
get permits. I've had to go to board meetings for all kinds of different groups. I had
Really?
to get permits from Tarrant Region Water District, as well as the city, as well as Texas Parks and Wildlife. So just navigating all that stuff. As far as the turtles have gone, I've learned. Um, well, I'm still trying to figure out what we're learning right now. We're
Mhm.
trying to work through the data and figure stuff out.
Mhm.
But just today, for example, I was looking at the poop out of these turtles in the buckets, and I found a dragonfly wing in one.
Mm.
So it eaten a dragonfly, and I found 3 different seeds. And the seeds, I'm not sure what they're from,
Mhm.
but hopefully with the Botanic Research Institute,
Yeah.
they can help me figure out what those are, and then we can say that either, I don't know if it'd be seed dispersal or just diet in these turtles, that it includes this species of grass or whatnot.
Mm.
But so just today I learned something, and then like we've mentioned a couple of times, those Asian clams,
Yeah.
those are in the river, and these turtles are eating them. So that's kind of neat that an introduced species that's not supposed to be here is being eaten by a native species that is here. So they're not doing all that much damage to the ecosystem, at least hopefully not.
Mhm.
Not to the turtles, anyways.
Let's see, I didn't even know we had the Asian clams were uh, in the Trinity. I had heard about the other ones, the one that you was saying was you trying to see if they're going to come down,
Zebra mussels.
the zebra
yeah.
mussels. I had heard about them being in Texas, but I didn't know that they were here. Well, this far down. So that's kind of new news and new information for me.
Yeah, if you look on the internet, it talks all about it, because there's this huge push from Texas Parks and Wildlife to tell people to clean their boats
Yep,
when they're done.
that's where I
so
heard.
so anywhere you go, there's commercials and everything, and that's because of these zebra mussels, because they grow to such high densities, they clog like water intake pipes.
Mhm.
They cover other animals, and they just completely destroy the ecosystem. The Great Lakes is what it's famous for. They're introduced in the
Mhm.
Great Lakes around Michigan, and totally cause hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in damage, because they just grow to such high density, and
Mhm.
we don't want that to happen here in Fort Worth. Although it sounds like it's kind of a matter of time, to be
Yeah.
honest
It sounds like kudzu.
with you. Right, that's another bad one. Yeah.
Sound like they take over. But we've got like 3 minutes left, and you know, you know, talk a little bit about your students. Give your students some shout outs. Because you know, you just like me when I was a teacher, we couldn't do a lot that we do without those lovely, charming little babies.
Right. That project.
And don't forget your kids and your wife, because
Yes. Thank you, Christina, for letting me come do this tonight. Thank you, boys. I've got 2 boys, 7-year-old Baxter, 5-year-old Finley at
Yeah.
Piggott Montessori now. And thank you to Miss Cynthia Frampton, who's watching the kids right now, because my wife's doing something else too. So thank you, Miss Cynthia. And my students, to brag on them just a little bit, this conference we're going to,
yes.
one of them is documenting diatoms,
Uh-huh.
which are a type of microscopic algae
Yeah.
in the diet of these turtles, because we had that scanning electron microscope
I remember that.
for a week, so that's what we used it for. At least that's his project. And then my other student, so that's Coleman Odom, who's a senior, and shout out to Mark Moses, another senior that's helping me with all that recapture data with red-eared sliders, and then he's going to make another poster for that trip to Sol Ross. So I'm really looking forward to those guys. projects, and all the students that have been coming out. We just got a new crop of students because it's a new school year. And
Yep.
We had 25 students show up this past Sunday to a survey. And
Really?
Yep. The next one's October 6th. So, Dr. Payton, you're officially invited.
I'll be there.
Yep. And yeah, I'm just really happy to get more students involved with the project, because I've had some excellent ones that have graduated, like Catherine Faulkner, who's at UT Austin now, and she did all kinds of really neat projects and science fair work with diatoms. And shout out to Shelley Wu, who is the diatom specialist at TCU, a PhD student.
Oh,
that's-
wow.
Comes over weekly to work with my students after school and teaches them about diatoms and algae and the role they play in the ecosystem. So
Now, quickly, because we've got just seconds left, but that's okay. I'll get yelled at. If anybody wants to follow you, or do you have a website or Facebook page, anything? I forgot about social media because we got to talking. So
yes, for sure. If you just search Trinity River Turtle Survey, we have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. And as Jake brought up, October 19th is Arts Goggle in Fort Worth, where they block off Magnolia.
Yep.
There's 50 bands that come out. It's free. There's thousands of artists. We'll have our own table there set up, selling our hats and our T-shirts and stickers and some artwork that the students have made in an effort to raise funds for the project, so we can send more students to conferences, potentially out of state and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we hope you'll come visit us at Arts Goggle, October 19th.
And I think I shared that on my Facebook page. If I didn't, I most definitely will.
Thank you.
Thank you. But ladies and gentlemen, today we have had the most wonderful guest, Andrew Brinker, my mentor, and I will continue to say that, here from Paschal High School and the Trinity River Turtle Survey. And this has been a wonderful show, and I'm going to have to sign off now, so I will be back next week. If you are interested in scholarships, I have the scholarship lady next week, so please, please, please listen in to All About STEM Radio here on Fishbowl Radio Network from 6 to 7 p.m. And I know y'all see the hats, so make sure you look them up and get you a Trinity River Turtle Survey hat or T-shirt. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank you, and good night.